Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome you on this webinar about the new version of our AutoFit system. A couple of organizational questions. I purposely disabled your microphone and videos to not overload the presentation. But if you want to ask questions, there is a QA panel at the top of the screen. You can press and you can ask the questions there. I asked Maurizio and Christian to take care about this QAs. And at the end of the presentation, we have some time for Christian or Maurizio to answer those questions live. So we'll be able to finish the presentation in this way. Also, the presentation is recorded and it will be available on my blog. I will post the link to it at the end of the presentation. Okay, so today's presentation is about the AutoFit version 2.0, our newest achievement, which is not on a production yet. This is still the part of the Hubert release 2025.02. So it will be available. It will be made available in the middle of November. But I wanted to make a short kind of introduction to it, and also to tell you what can you expect out of this second version. So because we have some of the people here maybe do not know what the AutoFit is or how it works in details, I will start from the little explanation what it is, how it works, and so on. First of all, the TV magazines are still are still a thing. Paper TV magazines are still a thing with media press. We are still doing a lot of them. Of course, the paper TV guide market is shrinking, but because media press has, I suppose I can say it, the best system for making the pages like this right now in the world, we are still getting customers from this business, trying to of course lower their costs in the situation when their business is shrinking. Thanks to the vast automatization of the process, they are able to do it, so everybody is happy. Out of this TV guide production, the most internally complex pages are the pages like this on the screen, so the pages with the listings. There is a lot of pages with the listings of the smaller channels, of the bigger channels, and they tend to be very complex in layout as well, because they contain a lot of information squeezed into very limited space, which of course creates a problem with making those pages, with editing those pages, and also with keeping them updated, because of course the TV program is changing, so the pages has to be updated with every update that comes from the broadcaster. Of course, the quicker we can do the page, the better, because then we do not have the problem with the update. So if you are able to start the page very close to the closing production date, we are able to make it quick. We are also getting rid of this updates problem. So today we'll be talking mostly about editing and creating this listing pages. MediaPress currently has a system which is able to automatically set the columns like this, the pages like this. It is called AutoFit version 1.0. It was created some time ago, and now, well, around, as we counted from the database, around 10,000 frames per week are made involving this this AutoFit 1.0 system. So it's already quite huge, and we expect that the version 2 will enlarge this this usage base because of the new new functionalities. So and as I mentioned, the AutoFit is a system for automatic creation of these listing pages. With the right configuration of the logic of this listing columns, it can automatically create the column in a way that that the column ends at the end of the frame. So this is the main goal for the editors, not to leave the free space, squeeze as much information as it gets, and also provide the pleasantly looking setting for a viewer. The version 1.0 was released around the pandemic years. It was 2020, 2021. But because of pandemic, because of other acquisitions, we were in a period of plurimedia acquisition there. The development of it stopped after the version 1.0, so it was not updated for a couple of years. And now this year, the board decided that we would like to go further and allowed us to sit down and think about version 2.0 and implement it. Especially because the number of the print products MediaPress has is growing. And of course, because of the specific of this market, each of our print customer wants to have the as low costs as possible. So we have to balance the expectation of the potential customer and the workforce we employ in editing and creating those type of pages. So how does it work? This is the version 1.0, and this is with the version 1.0 works in the way depicted on this diagram. So first of all, maybe also for a newcomer, some information. We have two systems called Phil and Tina, and these are the systems for Phil is a system where our deployment team is able to define the rules of transferring the transforming the data from the database into printed layout. So this transition is defined in a visual user interface in a Phil service. And the Tina service is a rule engine for this process. So our editors on the other side can enter some additional rules which kind of make modification in this generation of data from the database on a page. In a Phil system, we can define something called versions. And version of the record, version of the layout, is just another setting of the layout. So you can imagine that the simplest layout is just the start time and the title. Then we can have more extended version with start time, title, and for example genre. Then we can expand it to with a cast. Then we can expand it to include the short text or other elements. So we can define for each case in this Phil project, we can define a number of versions of output. And these versions can be different, for example, for movies, they can be different for documentations, they can be different for sports, they can also be different as far as the time range of the day is concerned. You can see it on in this mock-up of the column, that this column divides into something we call raster. So there is another type of setting in the morning, another type of setting in the prime time, and another type of setting late in the evening. So Phil is a quite sophisticated system with all these capabilities. and the AutoFit in the version 1 heavily relied on this functionalities. So as we can see here, a field project using the field service is making some output. This output is produced in the special XML-like format for InDesign, for Adobe InDesign. It's called ICML. Also quite complex setting. On the other side, the data flowing through TINA rules are transformed. Also, in the TINA rules, we can define some additional parameters for this auto-fitting process, using which the editors can kind of influence the process of this auto-fitting stuff. And then it goes to the AutoFit bot, which is the core of this system, which runs on the server, of course. On the same server runs the farm of the InDesign servers. This is the headless version of the InDesign, with our own Hubert plugin, which is able to kind of automate the process for us. And the AutoFit in the version 1.0, we're just communicating back and forth with the InDesign server, asking it to make a work on the column. In the version 1.0, the AutoFit used the algorithm which relied on adding records, deleting records, switching versions to the shorter or longer layout to achieve the proper length of the column. But as we only had the basic information from this column, because in this case we only had the information about something called overset. So if the one or two lines it was too much lines or too less lines in a column, we only get this number of how many lines we are off. So it was quite a process where we were iterating, trying a different combination of this versions, and only getting back the information about, okay, we are good or we are not good. Which of course, if you think about number of versions, number of records in the column, a number of possibilities, the process was quite long, and also it wasn't. We hadn't have a guarantee that it gave us the best results. So this is past now. This is version 1.0, and in version 2.0, as you can see, is a little bit more complicated. We still have field project, we still have TINA rules. In this case, we migrated this AutoFit system to the new version of the fill and TINA. The AutoFit 1.0 used the old one, which we would like to close someday. So this is now the new version of the project with some additional block called logical mapper. And I will not get into this very much because it's quite technical, but this is kind of difference in the version 1 and 2 of fill and TINA system. So we now have the new versions of this service. We also have a new version of AutoFit bot. And as you can see now, the new field service now creates a revamped version of this ICML format, including some additional information for the AutoFit bot to process. So this format here has been extended with additional parameters. Also using these logical mapper properties, we can kind of have influence on this output. It made it possible for the AutoFit bot to create the versions of the record on the fly. So as in the version 1, we only have these versions of the record which were predefined. And now AutoFit is able to generate the additional versions on the fly without user intervention to achieve the better fit of the column. The second major change is the change we made in a Hubert plugin while getting the information from the column from the InDesign server, because now we can create something called column maps. It's like this, which tells us this gives us a lot more information about the layout of the current column. So instead of having info that there's one line of overset or two lines of underset, we now have the total map of how this text has been laid out by the InDesign. And we are using it heavily to optimize the process of changing the versions and achieving the final fit. So this process, this algorithm, is completely changed right now, and we can get this map. The third major change here is this change. So we also connected AutoFit bot with our Tola AI system, which opens additional possibilities for the AutoFit, because now it can generate the custom versions of the records using our AI services, using Tola AI. Right now, it services two types of operations. I will be talking about it later. But because we already have this bridge, we can easily now think about enhancing this algorithm, adding some additional functionalities based on a large language models, for example, to help us automatically provide the correct data in the column. So this just sums up these architectural changes in the AutoFit 2.0. So first of all, the export format of the column has been changed, has been updated to enable this additional functionalities in the AutoFit. The new types of properties has been added on the way to make it happen. We can, and this is important, we can now generate new versions, virtual new versions of the records on the fly. We have this ability, enhanced capability to see what's going on with the layout on the InDesign side, and also we are connected with Tola AI. These column maps are especially interesting feature. It also took us quite little time to implement this, because this is not what is available out of the box from the InDesign. And as I mentioned previously, the layout of these columns tends to be very sophisticated. There's a lot of inner details in these columns. So we are very happy that we are able to achieve this, and this really gives the algorithm the view on what it has to do during this process to produce the nice fit. We are not doing it blindly like in a version 1.0. Now we know what the system is doing in the background, what is the response of the layout engine from InDesign server. I think it's worth mentioning. It will also appear in the later slides of this presentation that this new functionality opens the way to create even more sophisticated layouts using AutoFit. So because we also, these listing columns have different levels of complexity. There are these small columns which are not so complex, the medium columns which are quite complex, and also these big columns which are very complex. The version 1.0 was used in this smallest one, and sometimes in the middle one. Now I think we can think of employing this functionality also to the big listing columns. Okay, so that was a little bit technical. There was a little bit explanation, but what does it mean for the editors, for the creation process? What can you expect from AutoFit 2.0 on your side? First of all, it can now automatically generate abbreviations of things. We can get the common abbreviations of, for example, changing wealth Meisterschaft to WM. So if there is a need for AutoFit to generate the version which is shorter, because we are here talking about generating this new virtual on-the-fly versions of the records. So this is one thing that the AutoFit can do now. The other thing that AutoFit can do now is to intelligently shorten the names of people. For example, by changing their first and second and other names to the initials. I am talking about this smart operation here because this is one of the operations that is provided by the Tola AI services. So this is not just the algorithm trying to find the first names and shorten them, but this is based on a very smart model, knowing the rules of shortening, knowing the complexity of it in the scenarios, for example, where we are not having the real name, but we are having this pseudonym. It will not shorten it. It works nice for multiple first names, for things like von, for exotic languages and so on and so on. So this is because this is based on a large language model, it can do it in a more smart way. We now can also have the possibility to dynamically shorten the text. Sometimes the text is too long. Sometimes AutoFit would like to make it shorter to achieve the fit. So right now, AutoFit can use also Tola services to get the version of the text shortened to the given number of characters because of the performance reasons. This is not the same functionality as the text summarization that we had previously. This is another version of this functionality aimed towards the short texts, because well this full version is first of all, it takes a lot of time to get the summarization of the text, and on the other side it's also more costly. And we are here talking about the large number of operations, a large number of calls each time the data is flown on a page. So right now in this version, we are using, as for anybody who's interested, we are using the smaller version of the Google Gemini model. It's called Google Gemini Flash. We will make tests after implementing this, after deploying this. We will also make tests about changing these models to, for example, some local models, locally hosted models, to cut down the cost of these calls to zero. But this is something for a next step. The next thing that we can do here is to generate virtual versions, virtual variants of the record by shortening the number of people involved in the program. Usually, this is usually for talk shows and the programs like and news programs like this. So it can intelligently cut off the number of people and also cut off the role of the people, like for example comedian here or Schauspielerin here. So in this process we can also have this freedom system will automatically cut this record down in this way without need to define the new versions manually. Thanks to these column maps, we now not only have a option to recognize the overset. Well, there's one or two lines of overset. We also can now recognize the situation when this line is barely filled in. So like this on a screenshot. Yeah, it's just the beginning of the line and it doesn't look well. So in the version 1.0, editor would be responsible for doing something with this, either by reformatting the text here, well, putting some manual work into this to get rid of this situation. Now, because we have this new column map, we know about this first of all, and we can react on it. So so there is also a functionality to automatically get rid of the things like this by automatically entering some soft returns in the setting of the column, which is also driven by this column map as well. Okay. We also have the possibility to automatically shorten the title, especially in the blog paragraphs. Blog paragraphs are these paragraphs set like this. This is usually the morning or very late evening part of the TV program, and it is usually very crowded. So so it's nice here to have a possibility to automatically do something when it overflows. So now the AutoFit can now generate the virtual versions of the record with the title shortened for this purpose. Text cascading. In a version 1, when the text was selected for the setting, it stayed this way. Yeah, so the editor could say, okay, I want the short text, I want the middle text, I want the long text for this column in this place. Which was not very flexible because we have in our database text of a different length. There is a number of short text, there is a number of medium text, and so on. So we have a huge number of text to choose, and sometimes the length of the text is crucial to achieve the final the fit of the column. So now AutoFit can dynamically choose the text. Despite of its ability also to shorten the text using Tola, there's another way of operating on this text by choosing the proper text on the fly dynamically, based on the current result of this of the setting process and based on the actual column map. Just short information: we do not take copyrights of the text into account in this process. It was by request. Hello, Arthur. Because this is the kind of controlled environment. This is not automatic. This is there's always the human at the end and in the process who takes a look at it. Sometimes, especially in the sport programs, we have a very long content of field called this was called discipline, containing a lot of information which may be unnecessary, and for sure it takes a lot of place in the column. So right now, the AutoFit can also generate automatic virtual versions of the records, shortening, dynamically shortening this field to achieve the better fit. This is one of the functionalities requested by our editor team. Sometimes it was especially painful in the version 1. Sometimes the fit didn't work. Yep. So at the end of the day, after all this processing, the AutoFit was not able to find the proper fit, so it kind of failed. And in this case, it was very important to let to know editor that this is the failed version of the column, and the editor has to work well, take care about it. So if it happens in version 2.0, we hope it won't happen, or will not be happening as often as in version 1. But in this case, if it happens in the prime time, we will add some additional soft returns for visual notification of the editor that this is the column that you have to take care more manually. Okay, a little information about availability. We are expecting this version 2.0 to be available along with the next release of the Hubert system, because this is the part of the Hubert system, so it goes with it. That version is called 2025.02, and the release is planned in the middle of November, just before this Christmas time, which is very sensitive for our editors. So we want to get it out from the development, release it, and also start to implement it, start to deploy it on production. After the release is done, after the initial tests are done on production system, we will be planning with our customer JNA team the process of migration from the 1.0 to 2.0 solution. During this process, we will keep both versions alive, so the transition between version first and second can go well, project by project, product by product. I think it would be nice also to tell you about some possible ideas for future improvements in the AutoFit, maybe in version 2.1, for example, because these architectural changes that we've made opens a lot of new doors for additional functionalities. So first of all, we will be able to add the support for something called anchored frames. This is very technical. This is the special type of frames which kind of move along with the text, kind of frames within the frames. Also support for multi-column frames, which kind of flows the text like this from in the multiple columns. And after adding these two new functionalities, the additional new functionalities, possible functionalities open. We can add some additional cases of shortening, rephrasing, or enlarging the fragments of the columns using Tola AI, because now we have this bridge. We can add in another operation, think about optimizing the process even more. I think we can also think about applying the AutoFit / Tola AI in process of generating the tip and highlight pages. Because after applying all of this, we will be also able to prepare the first AutoFit of the highlight tip pages for the editors. And last but definitely not least, this new column map functionality, which now enables us to heavily optimize this iterative process of generating the column with the perfect fit. Because we now have this column map, we can significantly lower the usage of the InDesign server on our machines. This is important because with the growing number of products, we still have the same number of InDesign server instances, which are very expensive, by the way. They also take the place. They also kind of sit on a quite huge server. So to be able to scale this process properly, we need to think about this performance, this scalability, and these column maps and the new opportunities that we have with them allow us also to limit the usage of the InDesign servers. So we will not be buying new licenses for new instances when the number of products done with this will grow. Okay, I think we are quite good as far as the time is concerned. Now I wanted also Christian, which is the author of the solution, and Mauricio, who is the team leader of Christian, also involved on a service side with this. So these two guys that you see beside me are the real authors of the solution. Christian wanted to show you also a little additional tool that he made for diagnostic purposes and for kind of improving this functionality. So Christian, please take a stage and show us what you got here. You have to switch. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Everybody can hear me? Okay, good. So hello. I spent the last month with developing in topic of AutoFit, and thanks Rafa first for this nice summary of all these new features. Everything was like we have designed it, and the problem we also had in AutoFit first version is that when this is, for example, one result of auto-fitting a story. When we want to analyze what happened with the story, we had to open every column and watch and see what's there. And while we are now having this virtual versions, that means we have a lot of versions. Some of them were generated on the fly. Most of them were generated by injecting, like Rafa has told us, other fields inside or using Tola texts to analyze the result. The problem is I always had to watch to the listing, and there is no information except some colors, which tells us that here was something happening in AutoFit. But we currently have only this one color, but we will add some more colors to indicate, for example, it would be very nice to have the Tola texts marked separately to see, aha, this text was shortened by Tola, so the editor can have a special view on it. And also sometimes, in this case, AutoFit has selected some version which was usually not allowed by some parameters, which I also do not see here because those parameters are still in the TINA system Rafa has mentioned. And so I started to create some diagnostic tool which allows me to check the status of the AutoFit result. And unfortunately, this is currently proof of concept because to make it a little bit faster, I used existing technology we have in MediaPress, Bauer, and Funke instances. This is called tool panel. These are JavaScript tool panels using InDesign JavaScript language to create some user interfaces. Unfortunately, I have the information that this technology is outdated and will not be supported by Adobe anymore. So I didn't do it so exactly and finishing because we have to make it's some kind of proof of concept. We can discuss if we can put some of those functionalities maybe also into Edward, which is the let's say fill client, which the editors are using. for example, to watch the listing, which is in the database, or to watch some detailed view of some records. And so I created on the base of existing tool panels, some tool panel called AutoFit tool panel. It looks a little bit stupid because there are a lot of numbers and values inside. So it's a little bit more, it's too technically. It's a little bit for, it's not for editors. It's mostly for supporters and Hubert support team to check what's there. But it also contains functionality which maybe would be interesting for editors. I do it short. In old version of AutoFit, if we had some raster frame here, that means we have a definition of the starting times of every frame in this column. When AutoFit was ready, it was putting some vertical tab at the end of this, of every frame, of every raster record to see that there's a mistake. I hope there's a mistake. I added it now. I changed this because we want to have some column map, like Rafael has described. Column map means I want to have the positions of every record in these frames, and not only the vertical positions, I also want to have horizontal positions. How long is the record? How much space uses it? And this was the reason why we developed this column map. And what I can do now here is also, so this is exactly what we are getting from InDesign. You don't want to read that because this is only numbers, and this is the new story info format we have implemented into InDesign plugin to get us a lot of positions. It's only numbers. Here is nothing else than positions, horizontal positions of some tags of the records, of the end of the records, and in which line the records are placed, and we don't want to see that. But to have this,
sorry, Christian. So this was the numerical representation of the column map, really.
Yes, that was what we get from InDesign, and it's also only using numbers because I wanted to have the most compact format getting from InDesign, and I don't want to have information which we already have because we are creating an AutoFit, and Phil, we are creating the ICML of the records, and we know what the content of the record is. But the only thing we do not have is horizontal positions of some of the start of the record, of the time, of the title. And horizontal positions are usually represented in numbers. And so I created some format which only contains arrays of numbers. This is a very technical thing, and we cannot read it. I also have problems to read it, although I have created this format. And so I also include some, I hope it works, some little different representation of this column map. That means this is also, this is reading these numbers, putting it into some form which I can read. And the best thing is to have some graphical representation, like the story maps we are using inside AutoFit to see the current story status. I can now visit I can now check the result of this story. I also can see, okay, here's one line which is not filled very. So, okay, AutoFit should also do something here, but this is the result, and I see, okay, maybe I want to do something on the line because it's not really filled. I see also other lines, and so I can select it. It's just a tool for checking the result of the AutoFit. The story info format, like Rafa has mentioned, is not only working on listing pages, on listing columns. It also it could work on nearly every. Let's check. Another on every frame of some document. It should work, and it shows you how the story is. Presentation effect, yeah. How the records. These are the records are placed in the story. And so it's also interesting for the editors for checking the result of AutoFit because you can see it on the first thing. Okay, the other problem is, and this is why this monster is here on the screen, which I didn't go on developing after I knew that InDesign is removing the script functionality, but is providing another script functionality. That doesn't mean that we are not developing a tool panel. We are going to develop a tool panel to have some functionalities available here, and for example, check the parameters of Rafa has shown that we are using parameters set in Tina, for example, and we also have AutoFit settings. And this is very technical, but if I want to check the record, I can just see the parameters which were set in Tina or in the AutoFit settings. For example, here in Tina, we can say that some records may not be blown up by AutoFit. So they have a min version and a max version number. That means these records shouldn't be placed in a larger version than version 0, which is the smallest one, only time and title. And there's also another flag which disables blowing it up in a so-called force mode. I will not go deeply into it. There was some functionality in AutoFit version 1. When not finding a fitted result, please start ignoring rules. And the reason is just we do not want to have the news magazines larger than version 0. And so when I go to some other record, oh, it's not updating. This is a problem. Okay, presentation. Okay, if I go to this record here, this is blue. There must be something which tells me AutoFit has done something which was not planned. And I see that there is min version 2 and max version 4. This is an example Tina rule, which says, oh, this record shouldn't be smaller than version 2 and not larger than version 4. But AutoFit has created a version which was larger than version 4. And so I can just check it. This is not part of the new AutoFit, it's just proof of concept. And the other thing I was talking, this is how old version of AutoFit has left the column after fitting it to tell the editor, okay, here was one line too much in the frame. And so AutoFit has added some vertical tab, I call this. I think in InDesign, it's usually called column break. That means that the text goes to the next column and the editor sees on the first view that he has to do something here because it was not correctly fitted. For example, joining those two lines, and then it comes back. And this is just a tool which I can say is maybe helpful, so we could include it into a future tool panel. Okay, I have shown this one. This is the info panel, which I use for finding out what happens here. To this column map, I want to say, I open it again. This column map is not only used for telling AutoFit how is the status of a filled frame. For example, this is I copied some column maps which were produced while auto-fitting a story, and so AutoFit can see in the column map. Sorry, it's on the wrong screen. What is the current status of this column? And it sees this shows the records. At the beginning, we have some tags in the records, and the column map shows also the positions, vertical positions of the tag in the listing, which may be helpful for also for future extensions for fitting the column. For example, the darkest color is the first tag. The next dark color is the second tag. So in this case, it must be time and title. Time, title, and there's also some text here, which is another tag in this thing. And while auto-fitting, it's always, after every step of the frame, it's generating this column map. And here I see there's overset. This is why there's red. And these are two records in the overset, the blue dots. But and these two records have two lines in overset. And so while processing this column, it's always analyzing this column map to see what's happening here. This is the next frame. There's frame 2. And now it's filled, so it's green. And this is analyzed by AutoFit itself. And at the end, we have the filled column map from AutoFit. What I want to say is, we can also store this column map as a technical format, for example, the numbers or a JSON representation. We can, in future, maybe use for analyzing automatically the results of AutoFit and marking the places in the story where something is wrong. And there can be a lot of things where the layout can be wrong. For example, in this column, we have Blocksatz with justification at the beginning. That means sometimes if we have long words which cannot be hyphenated, that we have some very stretchy thing. I don't know, I cannot really reproduce it here now, but I can do some thing here. So this could be also in the, this I can do it a little bit worse. So sometimes it happens, this is the extreme I have produced now by setting soft returns, but sometimes in this blocksatz we have very long words which are not hyphenated by InDesign. And that means that after filling the story, something will look a little bit like this. This does not happen. I have provoked it with this soft returns, but sometimes it happens. And this could be also indicated by analyzing the story, the column map, because in this case, okay, let's say in this number representation of the column map, we also have the number of characters placed into the line. And this number of characters which are placed into a line is, for example, used to create a statistics of the number of characters of wrapped lines. And so we could indicate this by some additional process maybe in the future, which analyzes the results of AutoFit to check if the fill of the column was correctly or if we have to do something. I just tell it in this diagnostic panel because this is the reason why I also added this to diagnostic panel. What's here still missing is the records which are out of their raster, because for this column we have defined a time raster, and I want to color them in both representations of this column map. I want to color them in red, for example, to see, this is fitted. It looks on the first view, it looks fitted. I can just cancel checkout. But there are some violations of the raster definition. For example, this record, here is some violation, which is currently not shown here. It has to be done. This is a raster violation because this record is fitted here. It looks very good, but it belongs to this frame here. And this is also a thing which maybe needs to be included into a panel or maybe also an Edward client. That are things we are discussing. This is why I showed you this. Yes?
Yeah, Christian, I think it's worth mentioning that this column map, especially these visualizations, can be the part of the future system for automated quality control of the pages.
This is what I wanted to say.
Because we will be able then to automatically control how the pages are set, not only because right now we have something like this on this very simple level, because we are warning the people sending the pages to the print shop with the information, okay, you have the overset on this page or you have the underset on this page. But this is a very simple simple measure to assess the quality of the layout. Having those maps, having those detailed information, we can now build a system which will be able to automatically warn the editor of about the situations like this. The editor will not be even forced to open the page and look at it, how it looks visually. We'll be able to kind of light the red light on the page automatically. I think this can, on the other side, open the way to another further development, if you would like to fantasize a little bit, because once we have this visual representation of the setting, we can feed it for example, one of the models, and ask him to propose the corrections, because then the model will see how the page is set, how the column is set. So we can think about additional automatizations based on it. I would say that it opens a lot of new possibilities if we decide to pursue this way and develop the system even further. In the automatization of the process, and also in the quality control of the process of this page business. Okay, thank you very much, Christian, for this demo. We can see that on the QA panel we only have some enthusiastic comments from Arthur Mija. Thank you very much, Arthur, for this. There's something more. Okay, Christian, there's a question from Arthur here. What has to be done to include these new options to newspapers, magazines? Yeah. So, what is the process of deployment of it? Yeah.
Okay.
This is what we forgot to say.
Yeah, you started a little bit that we are using now new Tina. We have a migration tool which allows us to migrate new existing Tina projects to the new Tina service, and which also includes creating a logical mapper, which you also, I don't know if we have to share some technical things now, but I would say what is possible to migrate automatically existing Tina projects to the new Tina service, which is needed for use the new AutoFit features, because this creates also a logical mapper. And in the logical mapper, we have to find the fields where we need some injections to create virtual versions. For example, we are marking some field D1 with some property. This is an AutoFit actor. We also add D2, D3. These are the names of our actor fields in the database. And this is additional work we can do manually or just by copying from existing template mapper. I don't want to do it too technical now. So we have to migrate the Tina project into the new Tina. We have to check the logical mapper fields and maybe add some fields we want to use for virtual versions. For example, add some more text fields than used in the existing field project, because we also want to have, maybe if it fits, using this text into these fields. So this is the main step of migrating it to new implementation. And in my opinion, that's all. I did it in 2 products now on integration for testing. That's all. But then it needs some tuning. It needs some tuning, which maybe will force us to add some more AutoFit properties to the Tina project. For example, let's say we don't want to have TOLA texts created by AI from records which usually have only some generic text. It makes no sense because they are usually not used. And also, so we can use Tina rules. This is my idea for reducing the number of requests made to AI system and not allow to use AI texts in, I don't know, news magazine records or something like this. This is a thing which we will discuss in the next days or weeks while we are preparing the full release of this new AutoFit. And I think this could also be incrementally developed further in combination with the feedback from reduction and also from Hubert's support team. So these are some things, but usually we only have to migrate it to the new Tina, check the logical mapper, and then we can start exporting with new AutoFit. I think the first results will not fit very good, and there will be some records which are not correctly fitted, so we have to edit some Tina rules again, and so on. There is a little bit manually work needed for every product to migrate it to new AutoFit, but we try to reduce the number of steps necessary for it. That was answering your question.
Thank you very much, Christian. I think the one thing can have also to happen. The release has to happen. So after the release, we can have the product migrate it to the new version of Tina/Phil, and then we can start using the AutoFit 2.0. You have here additional questions.
Yes. There are a lot of more questions. Okay, the first one I answered, yes. Can we get a short version with notes with the new options for AutoFit for other editors or clients in the future? I do not exactly what you mean, Arthur. Notes, a short version with notes with the new options for AutoFit. Arthur, please explain again this question. Okay, the next question is if we are also able to shorten not only humans, persons, also topics. I think yes, but at the end, this is a question Rafael should answer. And also, if it's allowed to change the topics of the magazines, I'm not sure. You want to have a summary of this presentation. I think Rafael has recorded this, and I think also the slides of this presentation are quite good to understand. I don't know, what do you think, Rafael? Rafael? No. We are discussing it. I will discuss it. Are there further questions to this AutoFit implementation? So maybe Rafael is offline for a short time.
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I couldn't answer all questions from Arthur exactly. Did you hear me while I was talking?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So.
Oh, we can new questions, Christian.
There are you. Okay.
Yeah.
Miwosh asks. No, we're still on Arthur's questions. Notes presentation. 10 events in the column. The system sends add change version to add. Okay, I know what you mean, Arthur. Yes, since we are not using this old algorithm, so Arthur asks, in the current implementation, sometimes it happens while filling that one event gets a lot of more lines than the other events, which is not what they want. And I think this is a result of this old algorithm, which was trying to fit the columns by adding, removing, or changing version of always only one record. And now we are creating those the ICML to fill a whole raster frame, which is part of the whole story. And I tried to get rid of those problems. You are right. And also the problem was that AutoFit is using also Selma. I don't want to explain now what Selma exactly is, but Selma is, for example, storing edited titles and text in some database, and which maybe can be reused later. And Selma in current production also has a feature which switches versions to the versions last used. And an old AutoFit version that led to some problems, which I understand, because when AutoFit had switched a version, then this was stored also in Selma. So this version was not switched by some editor, and this is also not the version which was selected by some Tina rule, but it was stored in some Selma archive. And so on the next export, this was the first version which was presented. And this also leads to problems like this, that the size of the records in the column were not balanced, and also confusing the editors who have created those Tina rules before. And in this new version, it's a little bit different, because the new algorithm tries to reproduce the versions which were selected in Tina. That means it does not use versions selected by Selma. It only uses some content which is worth for fitting the record, but it's ignoring the version selected by Selma and tries to calculate the place for each record for this frame by mostly being close, if possible, exactly on the versions which were selected in Tina. Everybody knows that this is not always possible, because if you have in a small frame 3 movies and Tina says, okay, I want all those movies with 3 actors and some little text, it will not fit. Then AutoFit tries to achieve which one of the movies is the longest one, because AutoFit is stupid. It does not know anything about the content of the movies, and tries to make this larger as the other ones. But at the end, Arthur, I have to say, at the end, there will be always situations where AutoFit will not find a fitted version which includes all the wishes we have configured in Tina. But I hope, and I'm quite sure, that the next version of AutoFit will better reflect the initial configuration of the columns. Is it okay, this answer for you, Arthur? Because I see the next one from Mivosh. Hello, Mivosh. How it works with sport programs. Yeah, this is a little bit, I was wondering about this, because in this description of the initial task for creating this, there was something which was translated from English to from Polish to English, and I understood, I hope I understood, that Arthur wants to have long disciplines, which we sometimes have on the weekends, which fill the whole program. If there's some special VM event, then we have sometimes the only version using some discipline is so long that it exceeds the place in the frame it should be placed into. And so Arthur has described in this description, we are allowed to remove disciplines from end by splitting it to some dot. Unfortunately, I didn't find some example which is using dot, and the example Rafael has presented is using comma as it's some football match. So maybe this should be discussed again with you, Arthur. But I have to say that to change this, and Miłosz, to change where to split the discipline and which discipline fields from the fill are the ones we should split into shorter versions. We can do it quite fast to do it this way as you want. So please, let's discuss after the meeting or discuss in some task again about what you exactly meant in the initial description. There's another question. If AutoFit can include manipulating Flutter styles like from condition sets to change the broadcast to block or Flutter in some situations. I have to say, no, not yet. AutoFit is not changing styles of a record. So this is when AutoFit is running, it uses always the styles which are defined in the fit project, and it does not apply condition sets. If this is possible in the future, needs to be discussed in my team.
Yeah, but as you can see, there are already new ideas coming on. So
yeah,
so this is very nice. I think we'll open the floodgates for new requests or new ideas after we release this version 2, and then we'll just, well, if we decide to follow up on this topic, we'll just make it more and more capable and more automatic.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yes. Mm-hmm.
If the okay, so the Arthur just gave us some additional instruction about how to shorten it. I think we can we can then communicate well offline about these details of the formatting. But generally, we are now in a situation where we can start, well, crafting, adding some small stuff, and also changing some behaviors just to achieve the most of the satisfaction from version 2.0 once it gets released. So thank you very much for your input. I can see that we do not have any more of the questions. If anyone wants to ask, we have.
Yeah.
Will there be an option via AI to use the results from other products to know which content from an event is important? That's a nice idea. Yeah.
That's a good question, and may I answer, or will you answer?
Yes, please go. Please go. This is your day today, really.
No. But this is an idea I always had, and maybe this needs some configuration. But if those other products, for example, are fitting together from the conventions of the separators between the actors or something like that, we always have every record which was produced in AutoFit in Selma archive. So I had this idea, but I have to discuss it in my team. I already discussed with my team leader that this is maybe a very good idea. So let's talk about this also offline. It's a very good idea. But my idea would be to use the content from Selma archive of different products if they fit together, because if one product was produced early in the morning and then somebody else is producing the next product, when the product was printed, we have the whole content of the edited column in a ICML form, where we also can find, for example, the title or the content text or something like else we could maybe use in this product because it's already shortened. Next question.
Yeah, I think that the Arthur's idea can be even broader, because we can use having this information, having this column maps and so on. We can now judge having output from another product. We can now assign kind of importance to the particular records. So if this is outside of the field definition of the structure of the column, there's something specific is happening, and the one of the content is well better described. It's longer, has a lot of more information inside. We can detect this information, then maybe use this information from the product to the product to influence the setting also, and also to be a source of information about what to add to the other column. It's a very interesting question, I think.
Yes.
And this is definitely something that we can pursue, to be able to introduce the kind of networks of network of editors working on the pages, informing each other about the specifics of the events they are talking about, and also be able to extract, using AI to extract the information from it and kind of use it in a next production. So we're on a kind of mutation on a very high level of abstraction. Nice.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So well, we have finished a little bit earlier. I think it's a good thing because it's Friday. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance, for your also willing to hear about these exciting new developments. And I think that after the release, we'll make another webinar, which will be more of the workshop than the presentation. So we'll then be able to show you live how it happens, what can you do. It will be also much more interactive. Just to get you to know with the new possibilities, and maybe also to show some additional things that will pop up or we will be able to fix in the meantime. So this will be after the release, probably at the end of somewhere in the second half of November. I will also make this presentation and the recording of the session available on my blog. I will post you with the link, and as Arthur asked, I will provide you with the shortened version, the summary version of this presentation for, well, next purposes, next usage. Thank you very much all. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice day then. And thank you for first of all, thanks Christian and Maurizio for doing this. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.